Well, hello. How is everybody?
Row your boat
Indeed.
gently down the polluted river.
Is it going to fall into the water? It is California, is it not? So
I
it's
hope a
probably
beluga
polluted.
whale tips them over.
Actually, yeah, I don't want to fall in the water because there's supposedly a toxic algae bloom in this lake because of the drought.
Oh, that's
So,
good.
Yeah, you don't really want to make too much contact with the water.
What's
Yeah,
the
but
water
it's-
taste like?
Yeah, you're gonna have to come over here and tell me because I'm not gonna try it.
I'll try it.
Well, I don't know what lake you're at, Chris. I guess, what lake are you at? Do you know?
I'm at
What?
Big Bear Lake. It's in Southern California.
If it's in California, it'll be the lake of death because everything kills you in California.
That's
Mhm.
right. Everything. I probably, you know what? I'm probably sure I signed a cancer disclaimer
We don't
coming here.
we don't have toxic algae in Illinois.
No. Well, you also don't have a drought. You also don't have to bring your water in from 4 states over. So
Hey, what's wrong with the water you got there?
we don't have water here. We live in a desert.
You're floating in water.
They bring all the water from Lake Mead, which comes from Colorado Rockies, and they pipe it all into Southern California.
It seems like a waste of pipes.
It does seem like a waste of pipes, but hey, we live here. We need it.
Thank God for Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Canadian chimes in the one. Thank God for Canada.
Yeah.
Strangely
Get in
enough,
there.
we have no shortage of water here.
Yeah, we have
Yeah,
a
you should-
massive shortage of water here.
Pipe it in from the Isle of Man.
In fact, you can see, well, let's see if I can show you right now. This lake, hold on, camera, facing back. See if this works.
Oh, it's very scenic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you guys see that? My phone is frozen right now, but I don't know if you guys can tell the water level's down in the lake,
Yeah,
Like,
I can't tell.
20 something feet. If you look at the rocks at the end, that's where the water should be.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Not a lot of people out there. That's pretty nice.
It's Friday, so the crazy isn't here yet.
Oh, true.
Ah.
True.
They're
Yeah.
they're scared
Yeah.
of the toxic algae.
hmm I bet you could drop a toaster in there and it wouldn't even spark.
Why is it me on here? Weird. Chris just left.
He probably fell in. He drowned.
All right.
Well, I guess he won't be back next Friday either.
Yeah.
Start us off, Bill. Start us off.
So, Well, shit. What's up, guys? We're back again. Yet another Friday, episode number 95. That means we got how many more to go?
5.
5 more to go to episode 100, the 100th blowout bash. It's going to be fantastic. August 6th, I think, if I did my math correctly. August 6th. So join us then if you're not joining us now.
And then we could all quit on a high note.
Oh, yeah, we should. We should.
Oh,
100th
I know,
episode,
right,
the end of it, just
Clive?
quit. Shut down the channel, delete all the videos,
What a bunch of Karens. man.
blow it out, blow it right out of the water. No, it's going to be great. We're going to hopefully have some t-shirts to give away. Adam,
Yeah, we will.
Lots of
maybe-
t-shirts.
maybe like
Wow.
4 stickers, a gummy bear.
I have at least 7 stickers that are in front of me here.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
And if you're-
Go ahead, Clive.
if you're lucky, they might even send the prizes out, which is quite a treat.
Yeah. Rich,
It's pick up only. You got to pick it up.
that's a good idea, Rich. I think on the 100th we'll do a woofle on overtime. One of us.
I'm going to shoot a potato cannon off in my house.
I tried to make my own woofler. Didn't work.
With
You what? Did you make a woofler?
No, I tried. I just burnt a hole in the bottom of this cap. I'm like,
Did it just all leak out the bottom? That should have worked.
yeah.
It's maybe not as optimal as this version, though.
Yeah.
Yes, go for
Catch
it.
your
We can start
carpet
off
on
with a
fire.
woofle, why not? Hey, Randy. It's a good thing Randy came in because I think Bill forgot to say hi to him.
I did. I was waiting for Randy to show up because he's hardly ever in the chat. So, Randy, if you can hear me, bark twice and say hi to Luke for us.
Luke is the one that barks, but yeah.
I don't think Luke's the one that barks.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's questionable.
Mhm. I don't think so.
So,
Well, shoot, man. We got a couple things planned tonight. So, I don't know if Adam was able to pull it up, but I got some fun stuff to talk about
Cool.
from my very, very interesting
should we
life.
start with the schematic?
You want to? You want to start off with the brainy stuff first?
All right, let's do
Uh-huh.
It's all brainy. It's all
We
brainy.
haven't even warmed up yet, man. I'm still waking up. But we have Clive here, so
Uh-oh.
Clive's like 3.5 people when it comes to intelligence.
Yeah.
So we'll be all
Not so
right.
sure about that. This is where I get bamboozled by a random schematic.
No,
All right, there you
no,
go.
not you.
Why is it weird?
I don't know. I can't see it. Are we showing it?
Yeah,
Are
now
we
we
showing
are.
it?
But there's like buttons on the screen. It's weird.
Uh-oh. You're about to reveal stuff that you don't want to reveal.
Uh-oh. Yeah, so another thing, if you guys happen to get alerts, you may have noticed that we went live a couple times randomly through the week for hours on end.
That was what we call our Patreon stream.
Yeah, we got hacked. Really, that's what happened. Not today, ISIS. We stopped it. So
So did you get that schematic going or what?
we just had Adam just had to change the streaming key or whatever he does with his
Yeah,
fucking magic buttons, I guess, you know.
it's on there, but you got to look at YouTube if you want to see it. Or do you? Yeah,
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't care what you want to do. Is it on there? Can they see it?
they could see it.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see it then. I don't know how you guys going to follow along.
I can
Well, I
see
can
it.
see it
over.
on the screen here.
Okay. So you see that arrow that's in there?
Yes.
It's pointing to a time delay relay. Now, this schematic is showing, it's a little bit of context for this situation. This schematic is from a condensing unit. It's a heatcraft condensing unit, just a simple walk-in cooler, nothing too crazy. And the schematic is showing the system when it is pumped down and shut off. So as you'll see underneath the part that the arrow is pointing to, LPS is the low pressure switch. The arrow is pointing to TDR, which is a time delay relay. It's a delay on make. So keep that in mind. When it's energized, contacts close for whatever time you set the timer to, which I think it was set
To allow
2
the
minutes.
pressure to come up.
Possibly. I was trying to figure out what that did. Because no matter what the timer does, that low pressure switch bypasses that timer for the compressor to run.
Yep.
That's what I was looking at. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd guess it's just to temporarily bypass the low pressure switch, just to allow pressures to equalize and allow the system to start up properly.
For a few seconds or whatever it is. Yeah, I'm thinking along those lines as well, now that you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to keep the compressor on for something, to build up pressure or make sure refrigerant in a certain spot.
But
Yeah.
think about it this way. So at what point in time would you want the compressor to run with that low pressure? Excuse me. At what point in time would you want the compressor to run and somehow that low pressure switch isn't closed? Because wouldn't that mean your liquid line solenoid is still closed? Because it does have a liquid line solenoid, or rather an EXV, but the EXV is going to act like the liquid line solenoid. So if the EXV opens up, that low pressure switch would be closed and the compressor would run anyway. So if you bypass the low pressure switch, wouldn't that kind of mean you're going to be running it against the closed liquid line?
Yeah, but maybe they had problems when they were actually designing it, that they had that switch opening intermittently just as the system started up, and that's why they bypassed it initially.
But won't it time off, like with the timer, won't it time off even if it is bypassed? Like say the liquid line solenoid is made and it goes to the timer.
But you said it's delay on make, right?
Yeah. So it'll close, and that circuit would be completed, and that compressor would run for, I think it was set to like a minute or whatever, a minute or two. So that compressor would run for a minute or two. And like my thinking was, like, why would you want that compressor to run with that solenoid closed, the EEV closed on the liquid line? Because then you're just going to pump it further into a vacuum. That's not good for the compressor, obviously.
No. Not sure.
Now,
I just wonder.
Go ahead.
I wonder if they had problems with just as it started up. Initially, the low pressure switch would just trigger in and out a couple of times, just glitch in and out. And it was maybe causing problems. Not really sure. Let's
see if anybody in here, what the people in the chat are saying here. Alaska HVAC, that would be a useless TDR because you can't time it for pressure to increase the same each time. What is the low pressure set at? I don't know what you mean, Advanced Bashar.
What did they say when Basher?
He's meaning what is the pressure switch open and close at? Like what? Yeah.
Let's say it closes at 5. Or no, it opens at 5, closes at, I don't know, we'll say 30, 40, whatever. It's a pump down switch.
Yeah.
So now I called, a quick spoiler, I called Heatcraft after like 2 days of staring at this and trying to figure it out myself because it just didn't make any sense. So Heatcraft, hold on, let me bring up my notes from my conversation with Heatcraft here. Let's see. It's a timer, it's a delay on make. It is here to bypass the low pressure switch. So Clive, you were pretty close with what you said earlier. I just don't want to tell you that and spoil all your fun. So one of the things that they called it was a winter start. So in the winter, once that EXV opens up, and let's say it's really, really cold out, right? It's negative 100 degrees outside. That EEV, EXV, whatever you want to call it, will open up liquid line solenoid, all the same thing basically. Opens up, and that low pressure switch will close initially, maybe. And let's say the compressor kicks on, and it's so cold out that it'll maybe at first pull the pressure down on that low side to where it's going to actually shut that low pressure switch will open back up again because the pressure is so low. So that TDR is there to bypass the low pressure switch just to get the suction pressure up a little bit higher, just to get things moving, to get the system up as close to near operating pressures as it can.
So you can't get one past Clive.
No. I was actually surprised. He basically nailed it like within a few seconds of.
It makes sense. Go ahead.
I thought about it
winter,
3 days.
It'd be interesting to actually unplug the timer in winter and just see if when it started the compressor just pulsed on and off because it was triggering that switch repeatedly.
Yeah. If I go back to this winter, I'll do that.
Uncle Duncan, hey, how are you, by the way? He was saying for short cycling, yes. Usually they are in series for sometimes with the thermostat on heat pumps, sometimes or a system, just to like stop short cycling. But this one was weird.
You could say it's for short cycling too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially what would happen is if that TDR wasn't there, it would short cycle on the low pressure switch as it pulled down, as the pressure dropped below the cutout, all that fun stuff, so. But hats off to you, Clive, for pretty much nailing it.
I should have just made a completely terrible answer option. I should have said really authoritatively, it's the magnetic solenoid bypass valve that activates the remote interface valves and pulses the compressor on and off.
I would have called
just to see what you said.
And told them what you said and be like, you guys are wrong because this is what Clive said.
Yeah. So
dumb shits.
And that cycling, that pulsing the compressor, if it did that, it'd be damaging to the compressor, but also you're likely to actually start tripping protection out if you keep pulsing that continually like that.
Yeah, I would imagine that thermal would open up eventually.
Good question about
Pretty cool, Bill.
Heck yeah.
You ran into another one that we've had long discussions over.
Oh yeah. This is a picture we actually posted in the group, the HVAC Overtime group, which, by the way, if you're watching this show and you're not part of that group, I mean, come on now, just go join the group. Go click on Facebook. You can leave right now. You can leave right now just for a quick minute. Go to Facebook, find the HVAC Overtime group, and click follow, join, subscribe. I don't know, whatever button you got to do to click it.
And then if you're lucky, Joe will let you in the group.
Yeah, if you're real lucky. And if you're real lucky and you send Joe sweet messages about nothingness, he might let you post in the group once a day. 20 words, no more.
Listen, there's a lot of crazies out there. You got to keep it on tight.
You know what happened to the Nazis after the war? They all moved to Canada.
Oh, that's a bit harsh.
I know, right?
Not for Joe.
Being the moderator of a mailing list is just horrible anywhere, or a page like that. You always get weirdos, and then they all get angry when they're getting their messages deleted.
Joe filters out all the naked dude pics and everything for us.
Spammers, yeah.
Spammers, the spankers, the everythings.
I saw recently there was do you remember the scene in the school group? There was some dude who got into it with Brian Orr, and he was like wearing he was wearing a diaper in his profile pic. So
was that the old looking guy?
Yeah. That was weird.
Yeah,
the guy that looked like somehow there's a picture in there. Somebody posted that picture of him in the group, and then he was even like in that little comment list, like talking about it. And I think I told him he looked like Nick Cage and Dog the Bounty Hunter had a baby. And I don't know. He never responded to me though. I was kind of disappointed.
He's the type of guy that will show up at your house, Bill.
Yeah, he looks like that type of guy who's got the kind of time on his hands to do that sort of thing.
You have to, just like the school, the school group is a good group to be involved with, and they keep a pretty tight ship there too. And you have to keep it, positive and to keep it informative. You have to, or else,
you end up with a bunch of bullies.
Yeah, just weird.
Joe, maybe that guy was a refrigeration engineer, and the reason he wore diapers, really big ones, he just wore baggy overalls, and it meant that he didn't have to stop for toilet breaks, and it was just more convenient. And no embarrassing accidents, like when you get electric shock in the middle of the supermarket and you shit your pants, it just wouldn't actually show. Nobody would be any the wiser.
Chris is going to be really feeling left out today that we're talking about shitting your pants
and diapers.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's why I had to fit one of the poop things in here, just to actually fill that gap.
Can you imagine how boring Chris' conversations would be if he wore a diaper? You'd be like, this one time, I didn't shit my diaper, but I guess it wasn't my pants.
Yeah, no, because he would actually regale us with stories of how he disposed of it afterwards.
Yeah, true.
That was funny.
He threw it out the window and it hit the car behind him like a wet burrito.
There was a question. There was a question in the group about where it went. Push pull. Did you guys ever do that push pull method for evacuation?
I've read about it.
Yeah, I've watched videos on it. I've read about it. I've never tried it. I heard it's for bigger systems, right?
Sorry. Yeah. The systems I work on, some of the package units with all the condensers. If you have a port by the receiver, I did it with the receiver side. So you pretty much pressurizing all the condensers. Comes to the receiver and you get your liquid from the receiver. And I think last guy mentioned it. It's good for like bigger systems, obviously, but it ensures you get all your liquid, all your condensers, and then you could get your vapor the natural way, I guess. That's pretty cool.
So back to Bill's thing he ran into, right? There you go. What do you want to see? The condenser, the air handler? Condenser. Let's go. Or air handler. What do you want to see? Pick.
I think show the air handler first.
All right.
Just get a quick view of the TXV right there. Somewhat normal looking TXV. Now, it's not a real good picture, but the reason I want you to see this picture is if you'll notice the copper line going into the TXV, the liquid line is the same size as the TXV. There's no adapters, there's no reducers, no nothing, nothing crazy. It just goes right in there like it's meant to. So then Adam will show you the next picture, which is at the condensing unit. where it looks to be I don't know, like a 3/8 liquid line going into 7/8, just off the top of my head.
OD, yeah, 7/8 or yeah, if not
Like 3/4, 7/8, something like
Yeah.
that.
Something like that, yeah.
Bigger than
Yeah, 3/4, 7/8.
7/8 or bigger.
It's pretty big. It's basically its own metering device right there.
Yeah.
So we're metering the refrigerant before it gets to the TXV. So when you're in the room, you can hear the TXV gurgling. Now, that TXV has been replaced. I didn't replace it. I just happened to be there. So it's been replaced. I know it's been replaced. We weighed in the proper charge according to the condensing unit. The line set on this thing is no longer than 15 feet, but you can feel the liquid line and you can hear it. You can feel the liquid and vapor kind of flashing off in the liquid line before the TXV.
And you also sent over pictures of your pressures and superheat subcooling. You had, what was it, high 20-some degrees of subcooling?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it normal to high subcooling? And I think the superheat was high.
It was like 20-something as well, too. Brand new TXV. Did you try to adjust it, or did you not try to adjust the TXV?
No, I didn't try to adjust it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't try to adjust it yet. But in the video that I showed you guys, if you notice, the pressure just kept changing. It was 1 to 5 psi pressure swing, and I was checking pressure at the liquid line right before the TXV.
Oh, interesting.
So it was liquid pressure.
Same.
So you shouldn't. It should be static. You shouldn't have 1 to 5 psi of change in between there.
Right.
And then I think there was a 2 to 3 degree temperature difference from that 3/8 to the 3/4 line, where it jumps up that. But
oh, no way.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to get a temperature probe in that little line, but it was about 2 to 3 degrees. It wasn't as much as I thought, honestly. I thought it'd be a little bit more. But so the problem the system's having is the evaporator's underfeeding. My evap temperature is, I don't know, 63, 65-ish. My discharge temperature doesn't ever seem to be near where it should be. It's most days it's 68, 70. It's just completely bastardized. But the thing that's confusing is it's been there for 20 years. It's been this way for 20 years. I don't know who put it in.
So obviously, well, you also called Train though about the sizing of the air handler.
Yes, yeah. So that's that TXV is a 5-ton valve, and the condenser it's a 4-ton condenser. So it's undersized by 12,000 BTUs, but it's undersized, but I don't know if would 12,000 BTUs make that big of a difference? No. And then my other thought was, if it was a 5-ton condensing unit, would a 5-ton condensing unit have such a large liquid line on it?
It's weird. It's weird.
Like I can't
liquid
imagine.
Lines should never be. I never seen liquid lines for a 5-ton or under 5-ton, bigger than. Okay, maybe somebody will put a 1/2 inch, but that's huge, dude.
So I verified that is the correct TXV from Train. Yeah. I opened up the cabinet. On the other side of the TXV is just the same 3/4 copper coming out into a distributor. So it looks like it's meant to have that ginormous ass liquid line on it. I just don't understand it.
I'd be interested to see what the technical data says on the condenser, like for piping and that.
Yeah. I have a message into they call them the Train sales engineers. I don't know if they're really worth their title, but I'm trying to work my way up to talk to somebody who can give me a little bit more information on the system.
Why don't we talk about some of the things we're like naming off? Like there's obviously flashing from that 3/8 to that whatever it is 7/8. There's flashing going on there, so it's something screwed up there.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing I was wondering, I think I mentioned to you or Adam that at first I thought it was a remote cooler at one time, and then they converted it because if you look, I kind of see the suction line. Maybe they were opposite before, and that's that installation. You could maybe it was done after. That was a discharge line, and the other was a liquid coming back, and that's why the liquid line is almost bigger than the suction line. So the compressor at one point could have been back in the air handler. So that's what one of my thought was. The other thought is that's no way that's possible for a 5-ton below that big of a liquid line. No way.
We were talking about because of the saturation temperature, possibly extremely high airflow
Yes.
That's one.
They're bigger. Yeah.
We were also talking about, I would have tried to probably squirt a little bit of gas in there and see what happened if you had changed with the subcooling and superheat. I know you just changed the TXV, but I'm curious to see what would happen. You know what I mean?
That's probably what I'm gonna end up doing next week. Just
and then try
just throw
adjust
some gas in there.
Try adjusting the TXV.
Worst case scenario, a condenser dies. I mean, it's 20 years old.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm wondering too. But this is R22, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Now, I wonder if it was more of a critical refrigerant, like a blend of some sort. I don't know, like let's say even 410. Do you think it would have lasted this long? This unit like this, with all the refraction age, like just like with all, like I think it comes down to the R22 again. Like I think even if it wasn't R22,
it wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work.
Well, it doesn't really work. It doesn't work well.
No, it doesn't work well. No.
Yeah. I bet the condenser was a changeover, and that's when it went to this. This reminds me of something like how DCA is piped.
But what I don't understand is that the inlet of that TXV is a 3/4, whatever it is, 7/8, 3/4. I don't remember exactly what it is, but
I would change
it. The inlet of that TXV, which I confirmed to train is the correct TXV, it's 7/8. It's 3/4 inlet.
I mean, I think you have multiple things going on. I personally think you probably do have high airflow. I don't know how high airflow you have. Is it possible you have return duct leakage as well too? Why is your saturation temperature that high? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, which I can. I think there's. I'm not sure, but I thought I saw a magnehelic on this thing or something that I might be able to just.
Oh, for static.
Check the static. Yeah.
I honestly, I would, like I think Rich said it too. I would first thing, obviously, I'm pretty sure that was in your head too, is change the line set to a smaller line set.
But then what? I run a 3/8, and then I just I put some sort of adapter into the TXV.
Yeah, you can put a bushing if you wanted to.
Yeah, and then it's going to flash off right there. It won't be as bad though, but
at least you would have a solid column of liquid going all the way to the TXV at that point.
Yeah.
And less refrigerant. Like, how much more refrigerant do you have to put in the system to fill that line up?
Well, that's like it's like a receiver, right? That's what you were saying.
Your receiver, it's storing refrigerant. Yeah.
Is it a long run?
Is it a long run? Yes, that's a good question.
No, it's like maybe 12 to 15 foot. It's not very far. Like where that TXV is, like if I'm standing right there, it's probably to the right of that, like 10 foot is the wall, and the condenser is right on the outside of the wall.
Yeah, it's not long. But I see where you're saying, Clyde, because usually, obviously, it could be engineered if it's a longer, let's say, than 50 feet. Something could be up. But even still, a longer engineered line set, I don't think they go that big for a liquid line. Maybe suction line, but not a liquid line.
I wonder why they put that in the first place. Do you think it was a mistake or just what they had handy?
I know, right?
Well, with Train and a couple other brands, there is the knuckle. I call them knuckles. What do you call them, Joe? Coming out of the side of the unit. What do you call them? Stubs,
moose
whatever.
Knuckles.
Yeah, moose knuckles. Yeah. Certain times you'll have a coil matched with a condenser, and the size of the suction line is actually different. You might have 3/4 on one side and 7/8 on the other side. So which one do you use? You got to look it up, right?
Usually the package unit says what it wants.
Right.
Recommended, yeah. But that was good talk. Cool. That was cool.
I know when the previous guy recovered the charge out of it, I asked him if he weighed it, and he said he did. And so I said, "Oh, what was the weight?" And it was pretty close to the sticker on the condensing unit. It was like 6 pounds or something like that.
I feel like that's way too low.
Yeah.
For that size line with the amount of liquid in it.
Oh yeah, for that size line, like I'm probably gonna go back and I don't know exactly how I'm gonna just add refrigerant until the gurgling noise goes away.
But I don't think it
will. While I'm watching it to make sure it doesn't go off on head pressure.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess if it's solid, it won't flash as like it could only flash if it's the liquid line is not full of liquid, right?
Pressure drop or temperature drop.
Right.
I wondered if you'd have to change the whole run or just like a section of it, just narrow it down much further than that tiny wee bit they've got at the end.
Yeah, I think that's probably the way to go is when that condensing unit dies. Until then, I'm going to experiment with it and just throw in some refrigerant and see what happens. But when that condenser dies and I replace that condenser, then I would probably go ahead and run a 3/8 line up to it as close I can to the TXV, just put a bushing in there, and then and send it.
So, yeah, piston.
Fucking send it, bro.
Is it a hard route? Is it quite hard to find your way about in that? I mean, if you do have to change the thing out, is it going an awkward route or is it a fairly easy one?
Oh, it's pretty much straight. There's one turn on it. One turn in that goes straight out the wall, and then like a 90 at the condensing unit.
Clive said doo-doo.
Yeah.
Did I? Excellent.
Sorry.
It's a popular word here.
Right.
I was gonna say, somebody mentioned in chat, if we could, let's get a little break here. Let's have a nice waffle minion. What do you call them? Or was it I think you call it the minion to drink.
What?
Jaeger minion, he says. Joe's trying to get you drunk. He's trying to tell you to drink shots.
No, I just want to. We could have had a little pause here. We could have had a waffle. We could have had a.
We could have a woofle. I could slot a woofle in here if you wish.
We have an intermission.
Let's regroup here. We got to
regroup.
A woofle.
That's good because this show is getting kind of boring for a minute anyway.
No, that was good talk.
So
I don't know. I almost fell asleep, Joe. All right,
so
let me know. Let me know when we go back to being on live.
Just tell when you've stopped talking about big ass liquid lines and stuff like that.
Hell, you're good.
What?
I do wonder if that line was something else. If it was almost like some completely different piece of equipment and they just reused the pipe.
That's exactly what I was saying, Clive. I was thinking that was a remote condenser one time. It was like a chiller system.
Chapter 6 doesn't have that.
Oh, nice. That was a good one.
Yeah.
And that was a discharger one time, and coming back to liquid on the suction line, and the compressor was inside the air handler somewhere. So,
well, see that air handler's been there for all of 25 years, roughly.
And it's awesome that they use something that doesn't work for 25 years.
Right. Hold on.
Oh.
It lasted well.
Because it's I don't really want to say where it's at, but because I know where it's at, I know it's the original one to that building. The condenser, though, I don't know if the condenser is original to that system.
Yeah.
Usually, a lot of times, Train, I don't know on their commercial stuff, but usually Train has a date on their tag.
Maybe there's some really weird system before that they just changed the equipment later on and kept the pipes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering now if
Thanks for that. Clive.
Since that TXV's inlet is the same size as that pipe, shit, maybe it was just supposed to have 3/8 up to that TXV and then a bushing into the TXV, like Adam said.
I just don't get why the TXV has for a 5
such a giant inlet.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
Somebody in the chat, I don't remember who it was, like 400 comments ago, said that he had a TXV like that at an air handler for 7.5 ton.
Oh, it was the Basher, I think. Was it Basher?
Well, as of late, I've seen some pretty big TXVs and some larger systems, and even then, like it's not rare, I guess, to see a line that big. But I mean, we're talking like a chiller the size of a house, and you see a TXV on it or something, and it's that would make sense. But this little thing, like, why does it have a this giant line going to it? I don't know.
Absolutely, Jonathan. And unless it's a remote condenser, then it would be opposite. Discharge would be bigger than obviously coming back to be liquid. But yeah, you're right. If it's a condenser, you're right. Suction's always bigger and liquid's always smaller.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So the mystery will go on.
Yes.
But I think we beat this horse just about to death.
Well,
it's flashing everywhere. Yeah.
Speaking of horses,
in other news,
how's the moose population doing in Canada, Joe?
It's pretty good, I guess. Now that it's not moose season.
Do you guys have horses in Canada?
We do.
Yeah.
Oh, the Mounties need their horses.
I thought they rode moose, honestly.
Jesus wants an update on anime. We're just gonna call it Anime Andy.
Anime Andy. Yeah. Is he telling you any more fun stories?
Yes, but I think this week was his last week. He did not make it.
So he quit or what?
No. He didn't quit. What's the other one?
You killed him?
I didn't kill him. I told someone else to.
He told somebody else to kill him. His mafia family.
Yeah, his mafia friends. Yeah.
Hold on. Any chance the line set was from a previous system that was replaced, but they didn't replace it? Perhaps R11 or very old ammonia system, perhaps just a result of severe laziness. Oh, absolutely. That's a good point.
What did come to mind there was possibly some old brine system, but I don't think so.
No,
because that would have needed. But I would have thought both the pipes would have been identically sized if it was just
right. Brine,
Killing liquid
Freon, right?
no, because this is a building that sits in the middle of this sits in the middle of an airport. It's just a separate building out in the middle of the airport. Like it only cools this one little building, so I don't think they had ammonia or brine or anything out there like that.
bit dodgy in an airport.
Yeah. I mean, they got all like, worried about stuff like that, blowing things up and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm saying a bit dodgy in an airport, but then you look at all the modern flammable refrigerants, they're probably worse than the previous ones. At least you can smell the ammonia and it doesn't explode.
Speaking of which, the guy that has the homemade propane system, we haven't heard from him in a while.
He blew himself up.
What was his name? Poor guy. We love him. But what was his name?
Eric De La Rosa.
Yeah. Eric, if you're there, say hi so we know you're safe.
He was probably checking the superheat. Blew his arms and legs off, and he's trying to roll to a phone right now.
Well, people have made heat pipes just with standard butane refill gas and Schrader valves.
Oh, man, that doesn't seem safe.
Well, it is. Butane is a standard refrigerant, so all they did was use cheap, lighter refill stuff. I'm not sure you could use that in a system right enough.
Yeah, I think what is the difference? Don't they like dry it out or something like that? I know it's filtered and.
The difference is when the insurance company comes up and you say you filled it with lighter refill gas. That's the difference.
And then they say, "Oh crap!
Yeah, afraid you're going to jail, mister.
We're not covering your."
Sorry. Smallfire, what's up? Don't make me ask Chris. What's your question, bud? Let's go up high. Increase your service area for condensation. Will a clogged liquid line dryer show same pressures as a clogged suction line dryer?
Well, it's going to be liquid line was going to be higher pressure.
He's talking about, I think, pressure difference. Is that what you're talking about?
The pressure drop about a clog? I mean, either one of them, aren't they supposed to be like temperature plus or minus 3 degrees? Right. Yeah, maximum.
Yeah. Rule of thumb's like 3 degrees. Pressure drop is. I've heard different things, like a suction line pressure drop. It's is it like 3 psi pressure drop you don't want or something like that? Liquid line, you don't want anything over 2.
Makes sense.
You can also just take your temperature of it. I think that's probably a little bit easier.
Right.
Take a temperature of it. If it's not frosty on one side, fucking send it, bro.
Yeah, it's good enough.
Send it. Hashtag bum dumpling.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That's my new swear word that I invented, by the way.
Why?
Bum dumpling.
He uses it a lot. A lot.
Bringing it back. I'm a one-man band.
Poop to me.
That's what it is.
Oh.
There was something I wanted to ask Clive.
It's if you take a poo into a coffee filter. That's what it is.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. This is what I think about at night.
Not good for coffee.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
In the UK, I guess, or the Isle of Man, Clive, for the electrical, do they have some kind of standard for like when you're sizing? Like, let's say, like here, I believe they have like a 25% like ampacity rating for like temperature difference, blah blah blah. I was just wondering in up there somewhere, wherever.
Up there, England, wherever the heck.
They have a safety. Yeah, if they have a safety rating, you have to add to, let's say, if you're sizing up a unit or sizing up a circuit, or if anybody in chat knows.
Are you talking electrically, or are you talking like they have what they call there is a word for it, diversity factor. If you've got a high load unit, but it's not going to be running all the time. If that's what you're talking about.
Possibly call it something different. I was just wondering. If you're cool. Just wondering. Like, let's say you would have to size a unit. I think someone asked me here. They, not one of my helpers. It was the other helper actually. He was asking.
Did you fire him too?
The one that's still alive.
Yeah. just cut his finger off.
If you're talking the electrical feed to a unit, then I tend to actually oversize it more than anything. And I wouldn't really rely on it, because if it was going to be rated say for instance, it would have peaks of 20 amp. I wouldn't run a 16 amp feed to it. I would run at least 20. I'd aim for the biggest thing it took.
And here there's a code of that, the electrical code for that.
Meaning,
what the hell? Sorry, my Siri came up for some reason.
I'll give you an example of the diversity factor thing.
Okay,
an electric stove, an electric cooker. If you turned everything on an electric cooker on at once, it would actually exceed the rating of that circuit. But it's not going to be on all the time, because either you're not going to be using every single hot plate in that cooker, or they're going to be cycling on and off, so it averages out lower. So there is a diversity factor allowed for that.
Right, gotcha. And Jonathan was saying continuous low rate. I think here they call it, I can't remember what they call it here, but I remember that 25 number, and I think you add 25% on that highest amp rating of whatever unit is on that circuit. You just add 25% only on that one, and then you can size, and then you add your amps continuously to size your, I guess, your circuit, your fuse, or your line size.
I just always grossly overrate things just for safety.
Right. So, yeah. I guess compressor would be your RLA and yada, yada, yada times.
Somebody was asking about adsorption system. Was it lithium bromide adsorption systems?
Oh, man. Yeah. What do you know about those, Clive?
Have you guys ever worked with them?
No, but I heard somebody talk about them one day, and I came home and read as much about them as I could and watched a bunch of videos on them. Those things are neat. I've never seen one in person, but they're
fridges? Like inside a fridge,
like absorption chillers. Sorry, Clive, but doesn't like some RV camper like refrigerators sort of work on a similar principle?
They do, but heated by either an electric heat element or gas. But it's apparently used quite extensively in where there's existing waste heat from industrial processes, because it's a good way of recycling that heat and actually using it to where that heat would normally be wasted. It's use it for cooling,
because there's no compressors.
But they're not as efficient although they have made them for home use in the past, and they just make a quiet bubbling noise. I've heard one just a really quiet bubbling noise all the time.
Like you've heard the absorption chiller.
Yeah, but they're nowhere near as efficient as a compressor, apparently.
Huh. Yeah, I can't imagine like they can handle like a lot of fluctuating load. Like it seems like it could work okay in an environment that's pretty consistent.
I wonder how you control it. How do you control it? Turn on and off.
To regulate the temperature, all you do is turn the heating source on and off. Because it's heating, it's causing the evaporation of the stuff that then changes state and then recondenses in that sort of cycle they've got going on in there.
Mm-hmm. It's a very, I guess, in my opinion, it's a pretty complex process of how it actually gets anything accomplished. I couldn't even attempt to tell you. Like I kind of know it, but I couldn't even attempt to repeat it.
Yeah, the big industrial ones, they have like multiple tanks, and the liquid's transferred from one to the other in a sort of saturated state, and then it's like sprayed through nozzles into it. So it is quite complex, but I suppose it's just...
What is it? The bromide? Is it the water that's attracted to the bromide solution, and then the bromide solution, or is that the salt? I can't remember.
Yeah. It's not something I've really dealt with. Just someone asked about it. I just wondered if you guys had ever actually dealt with one of them.
No.
Sounds cool. Sounds fun.
I do know like the little tiny bit that I've dug up online about them is the bromide solution is it's key. Like if you have, I forget what they said, if you have too much bromide solution, it can just fill up with crystallize and cause all sorts of problems if you don't have the mixture correct inside of it.
Uncle Duncan Shack, he says it's used for refrigeration where no electricity is available. So I suppose maybe in certain hot climates, you might be able to harness enough heat to cause a sort of like channel heat in from in some way, like a solar collector to actually then just heat that.
You know what? This reminds me of, what is that called?
Before you go on that thought, Bill, like Clive just mentioned, or Uncle just mentioned, there used to be old fridges that used to work with no electricity. They used to have a little burner on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like RV campers and stuff.
Yeah, And they're absorption bridges.
Yep.
Cool.
But there's a, it's what is it, like electric refrigeration, where it's, what the hell is that called? I know, Clive, if I can think of what it's actually called. You've probably heard of it before.
Peltier.
Yeah, the Peltier effect.
The solid state, super inefficient and
super inefficient. It makes no sense why it's even called refrigeration.
What is it?
Husband, it's basically it's a series of electrical junctions, almost like thermocouples in a way, that it actually transfers heat from one side of a plate to other. So if you get one of these little plates, hold on. Let me see.
I seen one time in a little dorm refrigerator.
A Peltier plate. Looks like a little ceramic plate, but if I was to apply DC across this, one side would get warm, the other side would get cold. It's completely solid state heat transfer. But if they overheat in any way, they can suffer problems. They can also fracture quite easily. Husband did some experiments with supermarket refrigeration where all you did was plug the unit in. All it needed was an electrical supply, no pipes or anything. And it was these, like, stacks them in every shelf.
Wow.
But it was super expensive. I think it was so inefficient that they just didn't bother ever. The supermarkets weren't interested in blowing shit tons of money, basically, on the same level of refrigeration.
I've never actually seen one of those little coolers work. Like, I've had back in my day when I used to do appliance repair, I had people bring those into my shop, and they're like, "Yeah, it's not cooling." And my first instinct was like, "Well, yeah, it's not cooling. There's no compressor on it. So you want me to put a compressor on it?" And then I figured out what it was, plug it in, and like that inside plate felt like it was kind of cooling a little tiny bit or something, but
the power supplies feel quite a lot in them. But the plates, if they actually get too much of a temperature differential, it can actually destroy them electronically inside, so they just stop working. But they still pass quite lots of current, but they just don't heat or cool.
What, do they actually maintain like a, I don't know, 35, 40 degree temperature inside of a insulated box?
If you put it in the little freezers, the little fridge units, ice will form, so it goes like down to below 0 Celsius.
Interesting.
Wow, that's impressive.
Just a little pause here. You might know him, Clive. When your name is gray like that means you're pretty big. Robert Langhorn, Big Clive. So excited to see Clive. I watch all your electronics teardowns. You've taught me much. My family is British, so it's a comforting accent.
Chip cheerio then.
Welcome, Robert. John, I don't want to type it all out, Jonathan, but pretty much. Let's say your RLA is 19 on a compressor. You times it by that 1.25, get your amperage, and then you just add your other amps of, let's say, outdoor fan on there, and everything else. You just add it to that equation, get your full amps.
Hey Joe, are you starting this? Are you starting this story in the middle of the story?
And that's your ampacity. No, we were having a discussion, me and Jonathan, on.
Well, why don't you share with the rest of the classroom?
I was just talking about the wire size and the ampacity. What? The 25%
I thought you were talking about like RLA, FLA stuff or something.
Well, RLA of the compressors on the compressor, pretty much your full.
Okay, I got you. I don't care about that then.
Okay. Well, if you were here, you had to care, right? When you're sizing wire, sizing a circuit.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Back to residential.
That is residential. That's everything.
I don't size wires. I let the electricians do that.
Yeah.
Okay, good point.
Less liability. I don't want to burn down. Like, Joe, you should be worried about burning down $100 million mansion.
Yeah.
Good point. Usually it is electricians, but we are allowed, if you're a red seal, to go to the panel. So,
Joe, I'm a Navy SEAL, so I'm not allowed. All right.
I'm a blue ribbon, like Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah. I'm a pink seal.
So I have an interesting call. I'm doing a blower door test on tomorrow.
Nice.
Comfort consult. It's a just over 1,000 square foot house. Has a 60,000 BTU, 95% of furnace. Can't heat the house, and it has a 3-ton condenser. Can't cool the house, and they just wanted to change the equipment.
3 ton on a 1,000 square foot home.
Yeah, can't cool.
Wow, why?
That's why we're doing the comfort consult, because I don't want to get suckered into changing something and be like, well, you didn't fix it.
Good point.
You got something bigger wrong than your HVAC lady.
So
Right?
correct me if I'm wrong. Do you think though it's probably short cycling?
I have never even seen this, but she says it's like never worked. So
I wonder if any of these people that you go and do this blower door test on, as soon as you're out, they say, right, it's gone, we can open all the windows again. Because, like, just normally when you're not there, they've got all the windows wide open for fresh air.
We actually have run into quite a few, I'm not going to say a lot, but a handful of people like will call us and say their air conditioning is not working. And then you ask them, well, your windows are open. Well, that's on the second floor. Okay. Close your windows. If you're trying to cool your house down, what are you doing? And they like argue the point with
so
you.
stupid.
They really are. They're the worst.
Yeah. Hit the live chat, guys. Just a reminder.
Live?
Yeah, live.
I should hit the live chat as well because I've still got top chat showing here.
Yeah, Clive, you know what? What's the difference? I know there's a little minute things, but what's the big, do you know any reason why? Difference between live and
YouTube?
The live chat filters some of the stuff out, like spammy type comments. If it thinks they're spam, it will actually just, or if people are posting too much, it will filter them out.
Oh, really?
I thought YouTube was just trying to figure out who's important and who's not important.
Yeah. Telling me who to pay attention to.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, Jessica Egan says they size their own wire at Mr. Orr's facility.
There you go. I missed that. Hey, Jessica, thanks. We do our own wiring, yeah. There you go.
As I say, I always
go ahead.
Oversized things. It's me who actually ran that line set in that Bill was talking about earlier on. I oversized it to make sure there was not going to be any problems.
Well, you know what, Clyde? Even when it comes to gas lines, gas piping, it's the best thing to do is oversize. To be honest with you, if you're not sure, oversize. I made that mistake before in the very beginning, and I didn't make that mistake again.
Gas pipe sizing is really not that hard though. They have it's like basically a chart, and it's like the plumbers make when they're permitting. What is it called? Like a gas line chart or whatever. But yeah, you basically look at the length and the amount of gas usage for each appliance, and that's kind of it, really, right?
But there's fittings as well. Fittings have a nominal factor too.
Well, that's length, right?
Yeah, we add lengths to different fittings. Yeah. It's all in the charts.
The only real disadvantage of oversizing pipes is that if they ever burst, you're going to get a whole lot more throughput, like of water or gas or anything before they can do anything about it.
That is true. Threader. Somebody said about threader. I actually don't. I sold my threader because I just not doing enough gas piping anymore, and I just get fittings. And now that I got the Pro Press, if I have to. I really need to. I'll just cut it, put a press on it, and
have you used it? Have you used the Mega Press?
I haven't used it yet. No, it's not a Mega Press. It's a Pro Logic. Or
you guys are all going to go to press fit fittings. It happens in the plumbing industry, the water and gas plumbing. Yeah, you're just going to end up doing it.
I'm just using shark bites and everything.
There can be. I think they have their place. Obviously, like they are expensive, Clive. Like everything, all the stuff. So your jobs will be priced more for that.
But think of the time it saves doing it. But I'm more concerned about those little O-rings in them all. Are they going to start?
Really? Right? Are they tested?
Years down the road? How are they gonna hold up?
And there's certain you're going to get batches because, like here in the UK, you get the is it John Guest? You get the push fit, can't remember of it, but it's a high profile brand, but you also get the tool supplier's own brand. It's like no brand type push together fittings. I wouldn't use those. I'd rather go for one from a high profile supplier.
Exactly.
Like when it comes to refrigeration, I wouldn't use any push on fittings.
Speaking of high profile guys, so let's get back to this Anime Andy fella.
Andy.
He's formerly Anime Andy.
Did you already forget? You already forgot about him, Joe?
Well, I don't know if he did or not. He says he was going to. So let's see. He was pretty adamant that he was going to. Like he popped in and out. But
if we can ask, what spurred all this? I always love hearing these sorts of stories.
Listen. You have to be able to. After somebody tells you to do something about 20 times, eventually it should start clicking in, and it doesn't. The other day, I was putting 2 condensing units in. I put them in, and their guys were doing stucco. So the GC was asking, it was an expensive house, and the GC was like, do me a favor? Look at this. Look what these guys are doing. The stucco. They're stuccoing, putting that styrofoam around my disconnect boxes. They didn't think of taking them out. I guess they didn't want to. Nobody said anything, so they weren't going to. He's like, do you mind? I'm like, yeah, I'll take them down. So I told my helper, this is the latest thing. I go, yeah, I got to take those out. I'll just go, I was going to go get the drill. I go, remember, those are live. And I didn't tell him to take them out. So he took the initiative. He was going to start taking them out. So I got outside. Actually, I was going up the stairs. He was coming down the stairs. And I get a screwdriver, and I come outside, and I see the ground bar off the disconnect. And the disconnect, he was starting to disconnect the disconnect off the wall. And I guess he went to go get a tool or something because he was a hand screwdriver. And I come outside. I'm like, what are you doing? I go, this is live right now. This is how people die. And I just, I'm going to be a little bit more dramatic. This is how people die. You cannot. I didn't tell you to do that.
Joe,
yeah.
You're supposed to set a camera up and film it.
Yeah.
Yes, that would have been.
Yeah,
epic.
and then just say, right, go ahead, do what you're doing.
You know what? Sometimes, honestly, maybe if it was 120, I wouldn't care. Just strictly.
Did you go like this when you were talking to him?
No, I just said that's how people die, and I had to make an example. Like, this is like, you can't do something like this. I know he was trying to probably take the initiative, take the step, but that's something he did not learn. He didn't get taught. So why are you doing it? So first of all, I was taking off the ground bar. The grounds were disconnected, and thank God I came up at the right time to catch it. And I obviously took him down.
Why is he taking the ground bar off?
Yeah,
that's the other thing. Why is he taking that off? Just you don't have to take.
So
yeah.
Well, I like to disconnect ground first, so that if all the other wires just pop out randomly, it doesn't blow up when they touch the case.
Yeah, it doesn't trip the breaker.
Right.
Yeah, it's more convenient. The case comes live, but you know what? Nobody's really bothered about it.
Nope.
They don't use
You'd be
conduit.
okay.
They don't use conduit in Canada, do they?
We use whips, whatever whips, either diverse type, whoever makes them. Conduit, it's commercial, you have to use conduit. In residential, you have to use the famous
Romex.
Romex.
Yeah.
Romex. Romex isn't outdoor rated, is it?
No, not outdoor. No,
Okay.
only for indoor.
Okay.
We don't use no bare 14.2 going to a furnace. It's BX.
So when he was gotten rid of today, did you guys call him for a meeting into a back room somewhere? And he walked into the room and it was empty. And he's like, "No!" He turns around. He took a bullet to the back of the head.
Yep. Or did you tell him hey, first we got to install this geothermal unit. I need you to dig a 6-foot hole.
Nice.
And
there you go.
Then you just beat him with baseball bats.
It's getting a bit dark, is it not?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit of HVAC and murder. That's okay.
Yeah.
Chipmunk is saying 120 can kill you if you're kneeling in the dirt with sweaty hands.
Do you know a fairly recent electrocution in the UK was a welder, and he was killed by 85 volts because he changed this. He was standing in a silo, and he must have had wet gloves and standing wet ground in a metal silo, which was grounded, and all it took was changing the stick, and he couldn't let go, and he died.
Wow, 85 volts. I never would have thought that'd be enough to kill you.
When water gets involved, even silly low voltages can pass enough current to cause problems. Like in Britain, the standard in sites is 55 volts to ground centered. It's 110 volts center tap to ground, but lower than that, in the right circumstances, less voltage can kill you. The fact is AC is a big significant thing because people have this misconception that DC is more dangerous because it would you wouldn't be able to let go, whereas with AC you get about 50 or 60 chances to let go every second. It doesn't work that way. If you touch a DC connection, you'll feel it. You'll feel the sting and a burning sensation, but it doesn't lock you on the same way that AC does. It's the fact polarity changing all the time is the bit that makes your muscles lock up.
I think didn't Nikola Tesla try to argue that AC was safer than DC, and he electrocuted an elephant?
Nikola, yes, was AC. Yes, was it? It was Nikola Tesla versus Edison. Nikola Tesla was out promoting it with Westinghouse, and they had this. They used to do road shows where they electrocuted animals to show whose was the most safest and who was the most dangerous. But during one of those road shows, while they were setting it up with the audience forming, one of the technicians setting up the demonstration was actually electrocuted in front of the audience.
Oh, wow.
Which is probably not a good advert, really.
Did he? I wonder if he survived. Probably not.
So at one point no, he didn't. At one point in Glasgow, one road, Great Western Road in Glasgow, was DC at one side of it and AC in the other. So technically speaking, if you took the wrong appliance to the wrong side of the road, it would blow up.
Nice.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome on Facebook Marketplace. Maybe you want to buy a washer?
Yeah. So AC though, AC won because it's so much easier to convert to different voltages with transformers, and it's also easier to run simpler, cheaper motors with it because they've got that sort of like the rotation built in, so to speak, already. But it's also, unfortunately, the most dangerous for working on. It's the most likely to electrocute you, and 50 and 60 hertz are pretty much some of the worst frequencies that it could have been for actually causing muscle contraction. So it just turned out a bit bad that way.
It's got all the things that'll kill you, all in one.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we've discussed that, can you make one of those Tesla contraptions, Clive? Like a small one?
Tesla coil?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not that hard to make. You can get kits online, but I don't. I used to build a lot of high voltage, high frequency stuff when I was young for driving like neon tubes and things like that. But I don't do it here because there's so much electronic stuff around that it can induce current in the circuits, and it could damage a lot of electronic stuff.
Really?
Oh,
interesting. That's a good point.
You can buy quack medical equipment still on eBay. You could go on eBay and type Darsonval, and if you type Darsonval machine, you'll find these units that are basically what they call Auden coils, which is a way to bypass the Tesla patents or something at the time. And it's basically a modern day version of the healing devices that you rubbed on your face and they made loud buzzing noises and you saw the sparks coming off them. But they sell them for beauty clinics now, apparently.
And that's called an Odin coil, you said?
Auden coil. Oudin.
Oh, yeah. That's a cool name. I'd buy it just because it's got a cool name. Auden coil.
But in the early days of electronics, it's a copy of the violet ray or the violet wand. And these things, it was in the early days when electricity was really exciting and they believed it could cure everything. So they made glass electrodes that lit up and glowed with the high voltage. And you had electrodes for literally every orifice, like anus, vagina, nose, ears, eyes, hair, everything. They made electrodes for everywhere.
Just not at the same time, right?
Yeah, very popular with fetishists now.
Yeah, just like the laser. One time, I remember when the laser started to come up. From what I remember, anyways, they used the laser for everything. Oh, your laser could do this. Oh, the laser could do that. Now it's more realistic what lasers can do, but
yeah, but you can't put a laser in your butt. So how fun is that?
No, but we'll take out the darkness, maybe.
It doesn't end well.
Yeah.
It basically goes in the butt and then comes out your groin.
Imagine. Yeah. So let me just throw this wild idea out there. Imagine like right now, if we had lightsabers, we can't keep people from keeping glass jars out of their butts and stuff. Somebody's going to put a lightsaber in there and cut themselves in half.
Oh, probably, yes.
That's why we can't have real lightsabers.
Yeah, it's so easy to flick the switch from vibrate to kill, though.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. Oh, no. Oh, I hit the wrong switch. Now I halved myself.
I suppose it depends which end of the lightsaber you use.
Bailey Anderson, weird time to join the chat. Yeah, just that's anybody who's joining right now. It's like,
yeah,
don't stick lasers up your butt. That's the.
And it's when you're standing there going.
Moral of the story.
That's funny.
Lightsabers don't go in butts.
Yes.
Don't let anybody tell you different. Joe.
Uncle Duncan Shack says, my Tesla coil wipes out medium wave radio reception, radiates like hell. They jam everything. They're just like really broad spectrum. I'm not really sure about that, but they might actually damage your cell phone.
Are they
you can get the
Jammers?
You can get little kits where you can get jammers for cell phones anyway. But you get little kits on eBay that you plug your cell phone into it, and it's a Tesla coil, and then you can play music from your cell phone through the little Tesla coil. And it's just like, I wonder how many cell phones have died as a result of being plugged into these circuits.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
I wonder how much current you could induce in, say, like a transformer, if you had a transformer, just a, I don't know, 120 volt transformer held up next to a Tesla coil.
Well, not much. It's more likely a Tesla coil will induce current in just a single loop of wire, because one of the demonstrations in the past was a single loop with two balls in the end, and then it would spark between them. So technically speaking, my E-ring wouldn't be very good for that. I'd probably get a burning sensation if it hit the right frequency.
Oh, interesting.
But that's a good demonstration. I mentioned AC at 50 or 60 hertz causing muscle contraction. By the time you're up at Tesla frequencies, you can pass that current through your body and not really feel it. It'll still burn you, but you can pass it through because it's not two possibilities. The skin effect, it travels over the surface, but it's more likely the high frequency doesn't stimulate the nerves or the muscles. They can't react to that frequency, so you don't actually feel it. And I've done that.
Did we talk about this in the past? Wasn't he planning on, or somebody, one of his mentor, or not mentors, whatever, people learning from him or whatever, didn't they talk about trying to transfer electricity through like cities, towns, and stuff like that through the air, over the air?
Yes, he wanted to put a tower into the ionosphere and actually basically charge it so that all people needed was antennas to pick up the electricity. It was a terrible idea. It wasn't a good idea at all. It would literally have meant that things would just be bursting into flames left, right, and center if they were at the resonant frequency of that energy.
That would be awesome.
I feel like this is the prototype town. We're going to turn on the lights today, count down from 10, and then it's like everyone's dead.
Everyone's dead. Experiment.
Well, that's like, now they call that 5G apparently.
Yeah.
So this death machine Tesla coil, what kind of frequency are we talking?
It depends on the coil, what frequency it will resonate at. We're talking high frequencies, really. It's like from kilohertz up to megahertz or higher.
Way higher.
I've never really thought about that, but it depends on the resonance of the coil, really. What size it is.
Poor pine tree. That's what someone said.
What? Poor pine trees.
Yeah.
They'd smell good though.
Yeah, pine tree. I love the smell of pine trees.
Those pine trees ain't good for nothing anyway.
What do you mean? I love the smell of pine.
I do like
the pine.
I love the eucalyptus trees when they're involved in big sort of wildfires, and you see the tree just emitting smoke, and then it just detonates forcibly because it's like filled the air with oil around it.
And then what happens? What happens to the koala bears in those trees?
Drop bears as well. You have to be careful with the drop bears.
Our new segment on the HVAC Overtime show. What is your favorite tree? Mine's the weeping willow.
That's a nice tree.
Mine's the laughing willow.
I thought is there going to be a punchline here?
Nope, weeping willow. Love them.
Oh, there's one nearby here. There's quite a few nearby here, but there's one in the park with benches under it so you can sit.
I was just going to say, I want to sit under a weeping willow, and that's where I'll sit and I'll write poetry and just live out my days in darkness.
Oh,
I see.
Right.
But anyways,
yes,
boys.
But if you do want to build yourself a little Tesla coil, there's another type that's easier to build that MD can just cobble up. It's called a Slayer coil. Works at low voltage, produces all the same sort of fun high voltage effects. So if you do a search online for Slayer coil, it's a very simple, very clever circuit where the actual base of the coil is actually going to the base of transistor. It's super simple.
Interesting.
Yes. I forgot we still got to record a Harry Potter novel.
Indeed.
Good topic.
Forgot about that.
On tomorrow on Clyde's show.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Joe.
Yeah.
Say it.
I think it's time.
Take us out, Joe.
I think it's time.
Hey, before we go, Joe, what is some life advice? Life advice with Joe.
His advice is don't work for Joe and start doing things that you've not been told you can do and things like that.
Yep.
Or you're
Don't
gonna
be
end
a-
up 6 feet
Particularly
in the
involving
ground.
electrical stuff.
Yeah.
You'll be
Jeez.
dead.
I think there was somebody in chat saying, I think Bob Reddington was saying he did the same thing and his supervisor got mad at him for telling the guy that. Like, are you kidding me? And then if something did happen, then the supervisor would be like, oh, well, why didn't you tell him? He's
Yeah,
going
why
to
didn't
do
you
a
tell
work
him?
claim. You know what I mean?
Before he blew himself up.
Right.
When I was an apprentice, I went and disconnected the wrong thing, but fortunately, I used my test lamps on it first. But then when they saw me doing it, they just panicked. They just freaked out because they saw me disconnecting. They sent me to go and disconnect one piece of equipment, but it was a dark alley with like identical things all next to each other. So I thought I went back to the right one and got the wrong one. Oh, I checked the test lamps.
At least it was disconnected, though. I mean, it wasn't live.
No. Jessica Egan, I just misread her comment there. She said, I really like citrus trees. They smell delicious when they bloom. I thought it read, I really like citrus trees. They smell delicious when they boom, which they probably do.
Yeah.
Well, fortunately, I don't think we have citrus trees up here. Citrus just sounds so south, you know what I mean? What's up, Shannon? Shannon's saying, don't take wooden nickels. What does that mean? I don't know that. I can't.
I don't know. Wooden nickels used to be a real thing.
For real?
Yeah.
Robert Langhorn says you recently tore down ionizer. Are ionizers useful for deodorizing stinky fridges after they fail? Low-level ozone generators. Ionizers do produce trace ozone, but you get trace ozone generators for fridges that really make them smell fresh. How's yours doing, Adam? Have you been using it?
He just came today and got it going again. But so what I did was it wasn't working, and the refrigerator became quite nasty on the inside. There wasn't food in there, but it was just gross smelling and everything. So I have like a big ozone generator that's rated for like 2,500 square feet. And I started it off on a setting for 250 square feet, and it didn't like seem like it was doing the job, you know? So then I cranked it all the way up to
I wonder if that'll work, because I was always told that the plastic lining on the inside of a refrigerator it's porous and it absorbs, the stink, and you can reduce it, but you can never get rid of it. That's what I've always been told. I believe everything I'm told, so I believe that 1,000%.
Seems to be pretty clean now. We wiped it all down. We let it run for about 14 hours with the ozone generator, and then wiped
That's quite a long time with the ozone generator.
Why do you think it's glowing?
I jammed it. Yeah, it was good.
Oh, right, okay.
It was. It actually, the whole house started smelling. I woke up in the middle of the night to let the dog out. I'm like, man, it smells like ozone in here.
Oh yeah. That means there's too much ozone. If you can smell ozone, a rule of thumb is there's too much.
I was trying to murder that mold,
Oh, right, okay.
All right. Well, on that note,
murder
the mold, Joe.
Murder the mold.